All right, this is going to be going over the price action from today, which was what was today? The 4th of March. So Wednesday. Last night, these were the levels that I had on the charts. And so we can walk through what occurred today. I've been super tired, not feeling super great in the morning, so I did not get onto the charts this morning. However, let's go over what happened and what I was looking for because it did play out. So anyways, daily, right? We had marked out previous day high, previous day low, and then EQ of the lower wick, right? As well as previous day EQ. And if we get down on the 4-hour, right? We had this expansion move back, and then we were waiting to go into the overnight session. So we can just skip through this here. Right? Oh my goodness, yep, I did. Right? We had this rebalancing occurring, right? So where did the rebalance occur, right? EQ of that lower wick, right? And then what, right? So that occurred, and then Asia, right? If we drop down further, and if I'm to be honest, I actually took longs here on YM and NQ last night, paper trades. But because we did not have a 15-minute CSD yet, and I'll show you right here. You can see I was anticipating this to hold. I'll show you on YM as well. I just cleared it off a minute ago. But anyways, excuse me. You can see this was the gap here. And the reason I was looking for longs here is because we had reached, right, that discount area that I was interested in, right, which was previous day EQ on YM and EQ of that lower wick, right? So I was looking for some sort of, even just a rebalance would be fine, right? So anyways, I put my stop at this low, right? And I was anticipating this to hold, right? We ended up manipulating one more time before getting this, right? But I went to sleep, and but you can see that, you know, as soon as that occurs, right, we expand, right? We expand, and then we take this. This is the key level I had from the previous day that I've been notating, right? We had these relative equal highs in the previous sessions Asia range, right, at EQ, resting in premium, right? And so we ended up taking that on YM yesterday. But as you can see, both NQ, right, and ES, the draw had not been met yet, right? And so, right, what ends up happening after this rebalance occurs, right, and we get the correct PO3 with the CSD, right, we end up running where? Out these highs, right? This key level. Why? Because we had this SMT the previous day, right? And then we end up retracing to equilibrium so that what? So that NQ can then catch up, right? And expand to clear out the SMT at the highs. Why would we want to clear out SMT at the highs, right? Because we are continuing to expand, right? Continuing to expand. So anyways, did not trade this morning. But if we'll zoom in here, sorry. Right, we can see here, right, 9:15 this morning. Well, let's just play it from right here, right? Blue line's our key level, right? So we take the key level prior to market open, okay? And furthermore, and this is important, right? What are we doing here, right? What are we doing at this key level, right? We're consolidating, right? We consolidate, right? And then we end up rebalancing into this gap, right? We end up rebalancing this gap. Okay, right? We rebalance the gap and then expand that. But let's zoom in here and look at the time here, right? Because it's all relevant. We end up creating this down close 9:15, right? And then 9:30, right? We get this wick right here, right? But 9:45 gives us the CSD, right? Now, an easy way to tell whether your 9:30 trade is early or not, and whether you're going to be stopped out is if you're monitoring the previous leg, right, that we're opening into, right? Because if we have not reached discount, right? Then that still needs to happen, right? Potentially for a potential expansion, right? And no CSD, right? So we wait, we get 45, right? CSD. Now, 45 on a lower time frame is going to be an open low with manipulation here, right? Oops, let me grab that. And you can see that this is a 15-minute SMT here, right? And we also have this SMT, right? So we have, because look, YM 930 open high, right? But really rebalance to create SMT. Why? Because we need 15 minutes. We need swing points, protected swing points to allow the market to expand, right? And we want to be entering the market and we want to be positioning ourselves in trades with our stop as close to a protected low as possible. For me, like I want to see the protected low be created first, right? How do we know this low is going to be protected? Well, because we get the CSD at 45, right? So can you take 45 without the CSD? I mean, you could, right? You could on a lower time frame, right? If you're, if you can spot we're rebalancing into an order block on the other asset, whatever the case may be, right? Or you just wait for 45. Why? Because if 45 gives the CSD, then 10 o'clock just needs to open low, right? And we can see here, where does 10 o'clock open low into? Right? It opens low into this OB. And so we can drop down to the 1 minute. Skip over here and see. Here we go. Okay, and then I'm just gonna go back here. Well, let's just call it there for now. Move this over. Today was nice. Okay, blue line key level, right? Then we got this blue line, which is the 45 CSD on the 15. So we have a 15-minute CSD, right? And then we can see here, right? We talked about 10 o'clock opening low. Now, don't be confused with this move here, right? This is an open high with 10 o'clock's opening price being here, right? But what's important to remember, right, is the little truth narrative, right? It's like, where's manipulation occurring relative to X's price, right? So even though this is an open high, where's the manipulation going to occur? Here, right? Because we get the SMT here, right? SMT manipulation. So this is, even though this series of candles, right, this looks open high, it's not. Where's manipulation taking place? It's taking place below the opening price. Where? Into this 15-minute CSD. So you can see here, going into market open, right, we are accumulating and building conviction for a long bias based on a number of things. And each one has to be present on the higher time frame in order for us to even scale down. You know what I mean? And so once we have those things and we scale down, it becomes clear, right? We have a protected swing point. We have a higher time frame CISD. We also built a bullish order block, and it's based on time, which is the key point here, right? Because once it's based on time, right, whether it's 2, 6, 10, it doesn't really matter, right? Because the price is fractal. We can apply the same logic, right? We get a 15-minute CSD, 10 o'clock. All it needs to do is open low, right, into that order block, because it has already created the CSD. That's all it needs to do to expand, right? Because bullish candles are created how? By opening low first. So we open low, put in manipulation, and then we expand, right? Boom. Nice. This was nice today, and you can see, multiple levels here, and I want to actually draw attention to this because it is quite interesting. Previous day high obviously gets taken, and then obviously this rebalance point, which I have been monitoring, and you can see that that's actually down here on YM, and this is where we rebalanced, right? But this is not previous week EQ, right? That's what's important. This is the EQ, like where the previous expansion, I wrote it right, the previous expansion leg on the weekly time frame is, right? So like, I'll show you. So like, right? And this is where the narrative comes in, right? You can't be on a 15 or even a 1 minute chart looking for a position if you don't have this locked in. You have to have higher time frame narrative, right? But in this expansion here, right, this is the rebalance point, right? And you can see that we're wicking, yes, creating a weekly SMT at the lows, but bodies are respecting that, right? Expansion, right? Creating narrative, right? And then we just scale down. So anyways, that was today, along with some conversational pieces, things that are good points in my opinion to use when determining, where you anticipate price to be moving towards the next day. So that's all I got for today's review, and then yeah, let's get into the charting for tomorrow.